Chapter 35. I. The slightly dissonant buzzing of the few song bees gathered around Brennan's plant section added a tense edge to the vibe. Brennan had borrowed Jacob's sword to cut a square of bamboo, creating a plot that contained the little soil he had been able to grab from the tidal womb. The plants inside of it that he was babying looked like they were just barely hanging on. Among them was some of the jelly flowers that Brennan had forced open last night and mixed with the eater vine juice to coat their weapons. Lines of the blue color dripped down the stems of the flowers. Songbee landed on one and extended its proboscis to a splotch of blue, immediately retracting it and pulling away, renewing its irritated buzzing. Normally, the song bees were able to vibrate their wings to create a frequency that triggered the flowers to open on their own, neutralizing the poison in the jelly, allowing the bees to feed. When forced open, the poison remained active, and while it had saved the crew last night, the bees were not happy about it. "Oh, my poor babies. I'm so sorry. Please, don't be mad at me." Brennan was baby talking to the bees while trying to hum the calming tone. Everybody eyed them nervously. They had seen what the bees did when they were angry, and on this raft there was nowhere to run. Ina thought she could probably calm them down herself if she needed to, but didn't want to risk others seeing her use her Naga ability. She glanced at Jessica, who was sitting by herself at one edge of the raft, vacantly staring out at the water. This was the same look she remembered seeing from Jacob on top of the mountain. At least she wasn't crying. Maybe I should try hitting her with a fish? Ina's eyes brightened, but then dimmed when she realized she didn't have a fish and couldn't go get one right now. Her stomach grumbled. She hadn't eaten in a day. When they got to the next island, she would make sure to find time to fish. Were these humans never hungry? Jacob didn't eat the first 2 days, and when he did, she wrinkled her nose, remembering the cooked fish. I'll just have to make sure I eat some while I'm on my own. She sniffed, imagining a nice, fresh sunfish to crunch down on. Immediately, she realized her mistake as the human's body odor hit her. Of all the things she had worried about from the human, she had not thought the stench would be one of the worst. Jacob hadn't been bad when she first met him, but as the days went on, what started as a sour fragrance had grown into an overpowering funk, only made worse by the additions of the others in the close quarters. Lou, Manu, and Jacob had been talking at the front of the raft. Lou was still holding the sail. At first, Lou had spotted the orange emergency raft that Nakamura and Shen had used to make their getaway from the island after stealing all their supplies. Ina shot a glare at the other raft, which was now slightly closer. How dare they? When Ina left her island, she had left behind a collection of odds and ends that she had carefully accumulated over the years. She had just started to think of their raft supplies as hers when they had been taken. Among them was their map, and even more importantly, the Tide Stone. Her eyes had grown wide when Obbs had given the stone to Jacob. She hadn't even realized he had one. Tide stones were one of the most sacred and coveted objects in Naga culture and sources of great power. They came from the great Coriacea, giant turtles that helped hold back the abyssal sea. As removal of a stone would kill the Coriacea, Naga would only retrieve them when they died of natural causes in old age. At some point long ago, the humans had discovered one of the stones, and ever since they had sought to hunt the Coriacea. This was the core reason the Naga and the humans were at war. When Obbs had given the stone to Jacob, he had told him to keep it hidden and never let a Naga know he had it, or he would be marked for death. This was despite the agreement of safe passage. The plan was to take the stone to the trade post and sell it for money, as otherwise they had nothing worth trading. She doubted the thieving humans had even realized what they were taking, and part of the urgency in trying to get it back was that they might reveal it to the Naga and get themselves killed. Humans dying didn't bother her, but then the Naga would take the stone and there would be no chance of retrieving it at that point.
Captain, look,
Those must be the first of the islands you mentioned, said Lou. Ina's eyes were drawn out over the shimmering ocean. Indeed, past the orange-colored speck in front were some brown, distant lines. I see him, Lou. I agree. Looks like with our sail, he glanced at the haphazard collection of tied-together clothes functioning as their sail. We are gaining on them. Not sure if we'll catch up before we hit the islands, though. Ina felt a small bit of pride at the comment. She had made the sail, and it was giving them an advantage. Bro, should we start paddling to close the distance? Jacob thought a moment. Nah, I don't want everyone tired when we hit the islands. We have no idea what will be there, and we'll need our energy to forage. If I'm remembering correctly, the next stretch of ocean is multiple days long. We will need to find water to survive the crossing. It also wouldn't hurt to shore up the raft. Ina took a good look at the raft. It hadn't been in great shape when they first launched, and it had not improved. The eater vines had started to wilt and loosen in some areas. One of the stabilizing bamboo bundles was missing, having been torn free by the kelp the previous night. Jacob continued, Let's use this time to rest up. Hey, why don't we do your interviews? Jacob turned to look at Ina. You ready, Ina? I already interviewed. Ina let some irritation into her voice. Jacob smiled. No, I'm not interviewing you again. You are already on the crew. You are going to help me interview them. Think of some questions you want to ask. He motioned for everyone to sit down. Jessica, can you take the sail for a bit? Ina thought. I need to think of some questions. What would a human ask another human? So let's start with Manu. Manu, tell me about yourself. Jacob shifted into interviewer mode. Well, bro, there's not much to say. I'm Samoan. I was born in Hawaii. I got a scholarship to play college football. I play offensive lineman. I'd actually just been drafted into the NFL before he spread his hands. All this. I was returning to Hawaii to get my Pea tattoo. Guess that's not happening. I see. And what skills do you have that would be valuable to our crew? I'm big, strong, and I know how to train. Manu gave a big smile. I also have the barbarian class. I'm a good swimmer, and I taught everyone how to paddle. Ina carefully watched Jacob's demeanor, how he was sitting up straight, nodding seriously as Manu spoke. He gave the appearance that he was carefully listening and taking mental notes as the conversation progressed. Even his speaking tone had shifted to be firmer and more authoritative. Ina straightened her back and adopted a serious expression. I see, yes, that's great. So, Manu, why do you want to join the crew? Manu chuckled. Other than to survive this crazy world? You and Ina seem chill, and I think we should stick together. He thinks I'm chill? Ina didn't let her surprise show and instead nodded along seriously. Great, okay. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Manu took a moment to think, grabbing his chin with one hand. I don't know, bro. I'd like to think maybe find a way back home, I guess. Manu didn't look like he really believed that was possible. Jacob nodded. Okay, Ina. Are there any questions you would like to ask? Ina felt a jolt of nervousness. He thought, question. Need to ask a question. She took a breath and opened her mouth. Are you trustworthy? Manu burst out with a hearty laugh and Jacob snorted. Ina felt her cheeks flushing. I think so, but if I wasn't, would I tell you that? Manu winked at her. Jacob coughed. Always good to know if you can trust someone. and gave a somewhat stiffer nod. Jacob looked at her for a moment and then continued. Okay, I think that's all we need from you. Do you have any questions for us? I know we are trying to get to this trade post, but are there any plans for after? Nothing really concrete, but we would like to raise funds to travel to the human lands of this world, either by buying passage or improving this raft into an actual ship. I know everyone wants to go home, so we can try to figure out how to do that. Ina does have a private matter that I intend to help her with. Manu nodded. Okay, bro. Sounds good to me. I also have a question for Ina. Ina stiffened and met his gaze, trying to show confidence. How did you make your hands glow last night? Ina froze. She started to panic, thinking, oh, oh, what do I say? Jacob jumped in before Ina had to answer. She's got a stealth class that allows her to change the colors of her skin. Isn't that cool? You should see her do camouflage. Ina relaxed. Wow, bro. I wish I got that one. Okay, Manu, last question. Is there anything I need to know about you or problems you might anticipate as a member of this crew? Nah, bro. Okay, Ina, what do you think? Ina was a bit surprised to be asked, but kept her back straight and gave an extra serious nod. He may join. Jacob and Manu smiled. Okay, then, I don't see any need for further interviews. I'm prepared to offer you a position in the crew of the Last Chance. Within that role, you will be entitled to full protections and rights of a full crew member. Within those rights includes one vote during any democratic decisions. You will be entitled to compensation in the form of an equal share of any earnings from the crew. Manu's eyes started to glaze over. And with that settled, welcome to the crew of the Last Chance, Manu. Jacob started clapping, and then he looked at Ina, who hesitantly gave a few claps as well. Okay, next up is Lou. Jacob motioned for Lou to take Manu's spot. Manu gave a big smile as he got up to make room for Lou. Good luck, Lou. Lou nodded. Thank you, Manu. Hopefully, I will not need it. Okay, so Lou, tell me about yourself. Jacob launched into the beginning of the interview. Ina straightened her back once more, adopting Jacob's serious demeanor, carefully watching for when he would start to nod seriously and doing the same. Not really understanding most of it, but resolved to fulfill her duty as first mate. Ina was determined to ask a better question this time. The gentle ocean breeze continued to carry the raft along as it slowly gained on the orange donut bobbing up and down on the rolling waves, growing larger in the distance. Small brown figures overlaid the orange and gained in detail, as did the islands coming into clearer view. One of the figures turned and a muted shout was carried on the water. Soon, the Last Chance